It was nearly 11 at night on June 28, 2015. Southeast Florida Regional Airport was winding down. The last waves of passengers were collecting their luggage, making their way to the parking garage, heading home after a long days of travel. Flight attendants were finishing their final logs. The overhead lights buzzed with that particular fluorescent exhaustion that only late-night airports carry. One of those passengers was Dr. Teresa Severs, a 46-year-old physician, mother of two, and by every account, a woman who had built her life entirely from the ground up through discipline, brilliance, and an almost relentless work ethic. She had just returned from a trip to New England, where she and her family spent time visiting relatives and celebrating her mother's birthday. She was tired. She was relieved to be back in Florida. She was ready to be home. She retrieved her silver Lexus from the parking lot. She pulled out onto the highway, the familiar roads of Bonita Springs unspooling ahead of her, and at 11:19 p.m. she pulled into the driveway of her home on Jarvis Road. She would never leave that house again. What happened to Teresa Severs inside those walls at night? That night is one of the most disturbing and premeditated murder cases in Florida recent history, a story of financial greed, cold betrayal, meticulous planning, and conspiracy so calculated it involved burner phones, encrypted messages, a stolen alarm code, and two men who had been waited inside the house for hours before she arrived. This is not the story about random act of violence. This is not a story about burglary gone wrong. This is the story of the woman whose life was taken by the people she trusted, by the one person who was supposed to love her the most. This is the story of Dr. Teresa Severs. Like, share, and subscribe for part 2.